All right, class, let's look over this discussion question that we have. So this is topic 1, DQ2, and we're going to go right into, these are the Excel skills that are learned through this. This is the math skills. Let's get right into it. I'm going to assume you guys have already read that. Most of you have done this, so we're going to go ahead and make sure you guys have what I'm expecting. First, your name. It gives us some values here. And I think Richard showed doing the uh, graph first, which is fine. Um, I guess we'll kind of follow what he did just to make it reasonable. I'm going to select my speed and my distance. I select both columns, and then I go up to insert. I'm going to go over here to chart. Now I'm using the actual downloaded version. Some of you might be using the 365 online. Again, insert, go to charts, find the one that looks like a scatter plot. And then if you use the drop down, you can see the different types of scatter plot. In this case, we really just want the one, a plain scatter plot without any lines. So we'll click that. It gives it to us. Now you'll notice I selected the headings. And one of the reasons I always do that is because sometimes that works in my favor. Doesn't always. I won't tell you it always does, but sometimes it does. And it's really nice when it does. So let me kind of, so I can still see everything. This title is not going to work because that doesn't even make sense. So let's call this stopping distance versus speed. So speed. All right, that's a good one. I'm going to go here. So mine is right here, and I think the online it's also here, but I know some of you have Macs, and this little plus symbol is really just giving me chart elements. You can actually find it up here on the top left of your chart design table. You can see I'm in the chart design tab. I go over here to add chart elements. This does the same as this, but I'm going to go ahead and do it right here. And I'm going to add axis titles. I want a primary horizontal, and I'm going to do it again because I want a primary vertical. And then there they are. So we will label them. This one here is distance. And this is in meters. And then this is speed. And that is in meters per second. All right. So the titles are in there. Whenever you're inserting any graph, so this is not just here, but in future uses, you label it. If you don't label it, you are not giving uh, the reason you're doing this is to share information. That's why we use charts, is to share information. So having a chart without having labels is a waste of time. And if you see one like that in the news or in a article, assume it is garbage. And if they didn't label it, they're not telling you anything that you need to know. All right, so I'm going to click back here. And because I'd used the add chart element and that is available to you, I'm going to use it here just so those people see it. It does the same thing. I get this little list just like I had over here, right? Just a list. I'm going to go to trend line. I'm going to click a trend line, and then I'm going to click over and click the drop down. And I clicked legend. Wrong one. Let's try it again. Trend line. Yeah, click the drop down and then go over and hit more options. And it opens this up. Okay. And this says, oh, where was it? Now I need to remember where it is. Uh, so we're at 6. That was our speed, but we really have information for 3. We can see that right here. So, right, we can see the 3 right there, but we only go to 6. Um, I probably should have waited on that. That's okay. Let me close this for a minute. So I would need to predict that before, forward, or backwards to 6. And we end at 26, but I need to go to 33. So let's do that. So again, click here, go down to the trend line, get the arrow, go to more options. And now I'm going to go, so I needed to go backwards 3. So I need to go backwards 2, 3, but I was at 6. So that's a 3. And I need to go forward. I need to go forward 2. And you can see it as I finish it, it pops up, right? Let me take this off so you can kind of still see it. Turn it off. Come on. That's fine. You can still see it. And then I need to go forward to 33, but I'm stopping at 26. So that is 7. That means from 26, I would need to go forward 33, so 7. Um, and there we go. And then I can, which is kind of a neat prospect, is I can actually display my equation. And I don't like where it's displayed, so I can click it and move it up here. And then I can close this and format it. So there we go. Now I have it predicted out, right? So, and then this question says, so I haven't even done the other stuff, right? But this question says, use the graph to approximate the stopping distance at 28.5. So 28.5 is about, say, 25, 30. So it's about here. And I go up and I go, okay, that's about here. So it's probably just shy of 600 meters. So let's call that 590. So 590, that's what I'm going to call that. And in this case, this would be meters. So M, 500 meters. If I recall right, Richard he inserted some arrows. You do not need to insert the arrows. Like genuinely just look at it, go up to there and say, okay, looks like that happens a little before because it's a little bit beyond half, but it's not that close to 30. So I'm going to say, I mean, it's still close to 30, but I'm going to say it's about here. So I'm going to say it's a little bit shy of that 600 mark. And then I'm not going to write your answer to this. You guys can write the answer to this, but let's walk through the other stuff. So so now we're going to focus in on the chart here. And I need an intercept. And the great thing about Excel is if you need something, ask it. Seriously, put in what you need. So I know I want a function, so I'm going to do equal, and I need an intercept, so I'm going to start typing intercept. And I see int, which isn't intercept, but I see intercept. So I'm going to double click, and it tells me to do my known y's and my known x's. Well, if we look at the table we just put together, my x values are the bottom, which was speed, and my distance was my y values. So my y values will be these values. And then comma, and then my X values, and you notice it went from bold here to bold here. So now I just go down here, close my parenthesis, hit enter. And I have this decimal approximation. This is rounding at a certain point. Genuinely it is. But that's fairly accurate. Let's go to slope. And does it make sense that it's negative? Well, if I look here at 3, I'm almost at 0, or almost at not 0, but minus 100. So it does kind of make sense with the graph that we have, though it doesn't make sense to have an intercept be a negative distance, right? That doesn't make sense. You get hit and you go backwards. I guess maybe. I mean, if the other person's going fast enough. Here I want a slope, so I'm going to go ahead and start with equal slope. And then you can see slope here. I actually don't need to click it. I can write it, and because I know what the function is, I can put a parenthesis, and then it'll tell me. And again, it's the same thing. It's known y's. So select my y's, comma, select my x's, close my parenthesis, hit enter, and there it is. So what would that be as an equation, right? I have a slope and I have an intercept. That means I can think of this as a y equals mx plus b. So let me go ahead and write that. Y equals, and my m, I have a value for. So I'm going to go ahead and put a number in. I'm going to round it because I don't really have a choice. I can't keep typing that forever. And it's only showing a small digit or a small number of numerals when really that number could grow. So I'm going to say 26.479, 3 decimal places, times, and then it would be times my x. So I'm going to go ahead and put x plus my, not plus in my case, right? Because it's a negative. So it would be a negative, what's the value? 169.918. And that is my, maybe do that, okay? This is the equation, or it's a equation. I'm going to actually use it a little differently. I don't need to, you don't necessarily have to put I put the multiplication symbol, but you could just have done that. That is totally fine too. And you'll see, like, even up here in the directions, right? It says equal slope, distance, and speed, equal intercept, distance, and speed. So we do know that. We can fill in these predicted values, but we're not going to use this equation because this equation is rounded. I rounded that not at the 3 digits, right? I rounded at the 1,000th place. We're not going to do that. We're going to actually use the values as calculated. So, but the same idea. So I'm going to start with equal. I'm going to go, okay, I need to use my slope. So I click my slope. And there's a neat thing that you can do. And so Richard didn't show this, so I will. If you hit F4, if you're on a regular Windows device and you hit F4, it puts dollar signs. Okay. And those dollar signs they're locking that cell. So they create what we call an absolute cell reference. And the advantage to that is I can then do my times like I would normally, click my X value, which is my speed. And that one I'm not hitting F4 on. The first one says don't change that cell. So the B21 isn't going to change. The E12, I want to be able to drag my formula down. So I want to leave it like that. And then I can drag it down and it'll keep populating with the next E. So it would be E13, then E14, then E15, and it'll do it automatically. And then I'm going to go ahead and hit plus because now I'm going to add my intercept. I do know it's a subtraction, but if you hit negative, it's going to do a negative of it, or it's going to, if you hit subtraction, it's going to subtract a negative, which would become a positive. So we do plus, and then I click this cell. And again, I want to lock it. Now, last time I hit F4 because that will automatically do it, but I could very easily go up here to my formula bar, which is right up top here, and I can click in it, and I can add a dollar sign and a dollar sign. And if you have a Mac, I don't believe you have the option for F4. I think you kind of have to go up and hit the dollar signs, and that's okay. And then I can just hit enter. And that distance really doesn't make, if I'm going 3 miles per hour and I hit something, right, stop, or I try to stop, it doesn't make sense that when I slam on my brakes, I'm going to go backwards. Doesn't make sense. If I hit something, maybe like bounce back or something, but it really doesn't make a lot of sense. But now I created a formula that I can click here, and you'll notice there's three icons. There's the fat white plus, there's the black with the arrowheads, and then there's the black plus. So this is the normal one, the fat white one. This one is if I want to move this cell. So I would grab the cell and move the cell. This one allows me to copy the formula and move my formula down. And my formula will change the piece I let change. There we go. And it's all filled in. I could go here now, and you would see that I'm still using B21, but instead of using E12, I'm using E14. And then I'm still using B20 because I locked that cell. I want to show another option. Let me undo that a little bit. Okay, so another option is I have this. I click back on here. Okay, so I have it like this. I go over here, and instead of dragging it down, I double click. Oops, and this won't work because of this cell, this last cell. Sometimes it will work. If you build it right, it will work. And you, in this case, this was probably built on purpose that way, which is kind of mean. But it will automatically go down. So the double click is a great option if it's available to you. If not, you do have to drag it. I use the double click when I have, thousands of things. I don't want to drag it down thousands of cells. So I can just double click and it'll go down. I even do it when it's 100. Heck, I'd have done it when it was 10. Um, Another thing we can look at here is we can say, okay, we said we were at 590. And if I go over here and look, 27 is 545, 30 is 624. It might have been 60. And I know he went and changed one of these. So let me do that. Let's just see what happens. Though I don't like doing this. 28.5. Let's see how close we get. 28.5 is 584.74. So 590 is pretty close. I'm going to undo that because I don't want to break the nice thing. But there it is. And then you'll give an interpretation of slope and intercept, and it asks if both make sense. So you're going to give me an interpretation. You're going to type that in here. You're going to then answer the question, does it make sense? And it should be of this form. For every 1 meter per second increase in speed, there is a meter increase stopping distance. And for intercept, you should say something like this. In both cases, you should have those two sentences in here. And then you should also have this last one that says this does or does not make sense because of whatever reasoning. Okay. I'll let you fill that in. I'm not telling you how to answer your questions. Okay. So this is the first one. And then I have one more video for the next one that I'll be making. All right, you guys, have a wonderful day. Where's the end recording?